Hello and welcome to the 38th video in the PHP e-commerce series. My name is Curtis and this is Free Skills. We left off in the last video. It was kind of a half video, which is really dumb. I don't know why I did a half video, other than it wasn't a full video. It was just a minute long. It's just like a little bug fix. We'll probably do another bug fixing video at the very end. So if you know of a bug, let me know. Give me a comment. We'll get it fixed in the last video. We're getting close to wrapping up this series. We're going to start in the dashboard today, and we'll see if we can get all the way through the shipping or completing an order section today. So what I'm going to start at is this in the back end. I'm going to log in here, and here on the home page, the index.php, we're going to do our dashboard. Okay, so let's just jump right in. The first thing that we're going to need to do is in our database, in the cart table, we're going to need to add another field here. So let's go ahead and jump over to structure, and we'll add a new row. So we'll just add it at the end here, and we're going to call this shipped, and we're going to set this to a tiny int, and we'll do a default as defined, and we'll put that as 0 by default. Alright, so that's all we need to do for our database in this video for now. So let's jump over here to our index page, and what we're going to do is we're going to kind of get rid of this administrator home here, and we're going to start with I'm just going to put a comment here so that we don't get mixed up, but this is going to be orders to fill. Okay, and let's give ourselves a little room here. And what I'm going to do is, I know this looks a little tacky. Well, let's just go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and open up a div, and I'm going to give that a class of col medium 12, not 112, just 12. And there we go. And so that's going to be all the way across the screen. And I'm going to go ahead and give it an h3 with a class of text center. Okay, and we're going to put orders to ship. Alright. The next thing that I'm going to do here is we're going to do a table. And so the table, we'll do a table, and we'll give it a class of table. I'll give it another class of table condensed. We'll give it another class of table bordered. We'll give it another class of table striped. Inside of that, we'll just do a T head, and we'll just put inside of that, we're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 THs, so TH, that's 5. By the way, what I'm using right here is Emmet. So if you just go to EMM, it's emmet.io. It's a plugin you can get for this. And actually, you can just do it from the packages if you're using Atom. But it's just a markup plugin that just allows you to quickly do markup, just like you saw there. And I'm a big fan of it, so I use it quite often. Okay, so anyways, enough of that. Let's do, only thing, I'm going to put these all in line here. I know a lot of people don't like that, but we're not going to use that much space, and I'm just going to save a little bit of real estate here. Alright, so then I'm going to do a T-body, and inside of that I'm going to put a TR, and inside of that we're going to put TD times 5. There we go. I'm going to leave that, and so for our, I'm going to leave the first TH empty for a header, and go ahead and do name, and then we'll do let's see, description, and then let's do total, and let's do date. Okay, so we need to grab this information from the database. So right here, uh, I'm going to go ahead and do my PHP separate here. I usually do it at the top of the page, but I'm going to kind of separate this out by modules for the dashboard, so that I can, if I want to later, I can move this to a different file. So what we're going to do is go ahead and set up our TXN, which is our transaction query, and this query is going to be a little bit more complex than normal because we're going to do some joins. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to select our transaction.id. We're going to select cart ID. We're going to grab our full name, and then we're going to do our description. Okay, and then we'll also get our TXN date, and we'll get t.grand total, and then we're going to grab c dot, which is going to be cart, so c dot items, so cart dot items, and then we'll do c dot paid, c dot shipped. Okay, and then we're going to grab that from transactions, so from the table transactions, and we're just going to give that the nickname of T, so alias of T, so that what's going to happen now, since I gave this here, is all of these T's are going to correspond with this, so it's actually going to be transactions. Each one of these T's dot ID, so it'll be transactions.id, transactions.card ID. Okay, so that's how that works. Let's put that so I don't forget it. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to do is our join. So we'll do a left. Oops, sorry. We'll do left join, and we'll do cart C on. So we're joining the cart table, and we're given an alias of C on T. Oops. So T dot cart ID is equal to C dot ID. Okay, so that's where we're going to do our join. And then for our conditions, we're going to say where C dot paid equals to 1 and C dot shipped equals 0. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and order this as well. So we'll say order by t dot txn date. Okay, so that order by our date. So what I like to do when I'm doing a complex query like this is I'll go ahead and copy the whole thing, and let's go ahead, copy that, and then if you go into PHP you can go to SQL and we can just paste that in there, and let's just see if it works. Alright, so it works, and you see it builds this new table up, and so you have ID, cart ID, full name, description, transaction date, and you can see it's ordered by, grand total, items, paid, and shipped. So that's all the things we selected, and you can see that they're joined. The cart ID, so this is a left join. I think we could have used an inner join. Probably would have been fine, but I don't know, that's the way I did it. Okay, so now that we have this and we know it's working, we need to actually run it. So we're just going to go ahead and create a new variable. We'll call it txn results. And, oops. Let's go ahead and, yeah, txn results equals db query. And then what we're going to query is our txn query. Okay. So now we have this txn results. So what we can do is we can loop through this now, just like we always do. Right here we're going to loop through, and for each product we're going to put a row. So right here after tbody, I'm going to go ahead and let's put in a while loop, and go ahead and close that. And I'm going to indent that, and then we will go ahead and end while. Okay. All right. So what that's going to do is give us a row for each one of these. So let's just kind of look at our table now. I'll refresh the page here. Oh, syntax error 26, and that's because I didn't. Okay, so I didn't put this in here. So what I can do here is just say while order equals MySQLi fetch a sock, and then I can put in my TXN results. Okay, so now you can see that for each one of these that we have in our database, we get that in a row. All right, so let's go ahead and populate that really quickly. We'll just start. Why don't we start at the end? So we'll go to the last one here, and that's going to be the date. So we'll just go ahead and open up PHP and echo. Remember our function we created called pretty date? So call that function. All right, and we'll do order TXN date. All right, let's take a look at that. If I refresh, and boom, there we go. So we have our dates. So the next one's really easy. We can do echo out, and we'll use our money function that we created, and we're just to say order and grand total. All right. So if I refresh now, there we go. We got all of our totals. So this is very easy. Go ahead and echo out order description. Save that out. Hit refresh. So we got our descriptions now. Title, really easy. We'll go ahead and echo out order title and refresh. Whoops. No index title. So let's go and take a look at our database here. So we're getting from transactions and IDs. You know what we want is our full name, rather. So here we're going to say full name. Sorry about that. Refresh, and there we go. Okay. The next thing that I'm going to do is put a button in here for us to be able to view this. And so the button is going to, let's see, we're going to do a tag, so do an href. And we're going to send this to a file we haven't created yet called orders.php. And we're going to send that a TXN ID equal to, and then let's just go ahead and finish this a tag here. So say details. We're also going to give this some classes. So class equals bootstrap class here. We'll do an extra small button, and then we'll do button info. Why not? Okay. So we need to finish up this link here, and so inside of this, our equals, we need to give it our TXN ID. So we can just go ahead and say order let's go ahead and we'll just say ID here. Alright. So if we refresh now, we should have a button. There we go. If you look at each one of these, you get your IDs. Okay. So if I click on one of those, it's not going to work now. It's actually going to send me to a page that doesn't exist. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll click on this one. And so we get a 404 error. That's to be expected because we haven't even created the file yet. So let's get going on the file. I have this orders.php file, We're going to open that up. Actually, I need to create that file. So in the admin, let's say new file, orders.php. Alright, so we're just going to open PHP tags, and we can close them, that's fine. So we need to bring in our core init. So core init.php. Okay, and we're going to make sure we're logged in. So we're going to say if not is logged in. So if you're not logged in, well, what do we want to do then? We're just going to header, and we will set the location back to login.php. So if they're not logged in, it's going to redirect them back to the login page. Okay. So now we just go ahead and do our include. Includes head.php and includes navigation.php. Alright, so I'm going to skip down a few lines now, and at the end of the file we're going to includes footer.php. Alright, so if we go and look at this page now, refresh it, we don't get a 404, we get our page with just the navigation and the footer. Alright, great. So let's get going here. What we need to do is we're going to do a little bit of PHP here at the top. So let's just go ahead and give us a little space here. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is grab our transaction ID, and we're going to go ahead and sanitize that because we're passing it from, essentially it could be user input, so sanitize, and we'll also pass that to an integer. And we're going to go ahead and grab $_get txn ID. Alright, so that's our get variable that we passed. Once we have that, we can go ahead and do our query. So we got txn query, and we're going to set that equal to db query. Okay, and we'll say select all from transactions where ID is equal to txn ID. Alright, so there's our query. The next thing that we're going to do is just say we'll grab that result. So txn is equal to mysqli fetch associative array, and we'll pass it txn query. Now the reason we're not doing a while loop or a for each loop or anything like that is because we're only going to get one cart ID because we're grabbing it by the ID, so we're only expecting one. That's why we're not doing it inside of a loop. Okay, so in case you were wondering. Alright, so cart ID then is just going to be equal to txn cart ID. We're just grabbing that from the database. Okay? So next thing that we're going to do is go ahead and run another query for our cart. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll say cart query is equal to db query select all from cart where ID is equal to cart ID. Alright, once we got that cart query, we can just go ahead now and say cart is equal to, again, we're just expecting one result, mysqli fetch associative array, and we're going to pass it that cart Q. Okay, so now we have cart and TXN. Great. So what we need to do now is grab our items from the cart. So those are a JSON. If we look at the database here, we just go to our cart. You can see that these items are a JSON encoded string. So it's a JSON string, okay? So what we could do is we could just say items, we're going to say equal to JSON decode. Alright, that's pre-built PHP function. So JSON decode, and what we're going to do is grab cart and then items. And then what we're also going to do is give it as a second parameter. This is optional, but we're going to make it true so that we can work with this as a associative array instead of an object. Okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is set up a couple blank or empty arrays. So ID array is just going to be equal to an empty array. Can't wait till PHP 7, because in PHP 7 what we're going to be able to do is something like this. Okay, so won't have to say array anymore, but we'll just go ahead and do it like this for now because we're not using PHP 7. Okay, so now what I want to do is loop through my items, and I'm going to grab those as an array. So now we're going to grab all of our products. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a for each, alright? And in this for each, we're going to loop through items as item. Okay, so this items is coming from here, this JSON string that's been decoded into a can't talk tonight, into an associative array. So let's just, you know what, let's take a look at that. So if I do a var dump, and we'll look at items, and we'll go back to our page and refresh, you can see that I have 5 products or items in my, so you got your ID, so we have the ID of the product, we have the size, quantity, okay? So it's all looking pretty good. So let's go back now and finish that up. So now in this for each loop, what we can do is say, I'm going to get rid of that var dump now that you know what we're getting there. So in this for each loop, we'll just say ID array. We're going to add to that array, so item ID. That's it. So now we have an array with all of our IDs from that deal. So what I want to do now is put them into a string, and I'll show you why in a minute, but if I do, I'm just going to say IDs as in plural, and I'm going to implode that array, the ID array. So we're going to implode it with commas, okay, and then we're going to say ID array. And now if I echo IDs, you can see that we just get a comma separated list of the IDs of our array. And the reason we're doing this is because we're going to make another query, and in that query we can just grab, we can use the in method within MySQL and make sure that it's one of these, okay? And I'll show you what that looks like now. So let's go ahead and get rid of that echo. And what we're going to do is we're going to say product Q. Alright, product Q is equal to DB query. Okay, and let's get down a few lines and just. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is say select i.id as ID. So we're going to go ahead and give this an alias of ID. I.title as title. And then we're going to say c.id as CID. C dot category as child, and then P dot category as parent. Okay, so then those are the fields we're going to grab. So we're going to say from products, and we're just going to give products an I, so for items, okay? Because I don't want to. We're going to use P for parent, so we're using I for items here. So products I. I could have called that anything I wanted. And then what we're going to do is a left join categories C, okay, on I dot categories equals C dot ID. Move this to right here. It'll highlight my stuff correctly. Okay, there we go. So now it's just a little nicer to look at. Okay, so what we've done so far in this query is we're grabbing these fields and we're setting aliases for each one, and we're going to grab from products I. Okay, so we're calling the products table I, so I.id would be products.id, I.title would be products.title, and we're going to do a left join, and we're going to join categories C. Okay, so it's from the categories table, we're going to call that C, and what we're going to do is we're going to join those on products.categories equals C.id. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is grab our parent. We're going to do another left join, and even though these are in the same table, so we're going to say categories, but we're going to give it another alias of P. Okay, so even though it's the same table, we can give it another alias. So we can say now C dot parent is equal P dot ID. It's easier to show that in a database. So we got this categories table, and so what it's going to do is it's going to join where the parent ID here, so 2, it's going to join 2, just for instance. All of these would be joined with this parent category, so it'd be women, shirts, women, pants. And I'll show you an example. We'll run that query just inside of SQL so we can see the table that it returns. Alright, so for our condition now, we're going to say where I.id in. Now this in is a function that we have available to us in MySQL. So now what I can do is just say, and I want to make sure it's not a string, but I'm going to pass in our IDs. Okay? So, let's go back to the top here, and let's just echo out ID again. Because I'm going to grab that and copy it. I already have it right here, so I'm not going to copy that just yet. So let's go now and let's just copy all of this, and I need to get rid of this semicolon there. I don't have to, but I'm going to. So I'm going to grab all of this and copy it. And so now if we go to our localhost, our PHP MyAdmin, and go to SQL, I'm going to just paste this in, and then I'm going to go and grab these IDs here just to show you how this works. I'm going to copy that, and we're just going to replace this IDs right here with that. Okay, so now if I run that, see, it gives us this table here, and do you see how we have ID? That's the product ID. We have a title. This is our child ID, and now we have the child is accessories and parent is the parent. So women accessories, women shoes, girls dresses. So this is from our cart. These are all of our items by title and parent and child categories. Alright, so now it gets a little tricky, but we're going to have to do a loop. We're going to do our loop, So just hang with me. I know this is going to be a little confusing because we're going to nest some loops together. So while, let's go ahead and set up our while loop. And so while P, we're just going to call it P for products. While P equals MySQLi fetch associative array, and we're going to pass it that product queue. Okay, that's the one we just looked at. So basically what we need to do is build up a new array that we can print out in a table. Okay, and we need to do a check here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say for each items as item. So this is what I was talking about with the nested loops here. So this is going to go through our products, and this is going to go through each one of our items inside of that product. So here's our items, remember? So we're going to loop through that, and we're going to do an if statement. We're going to say if item ID, okay, if that is equal to our P ID. So if they're equal now, then I'm going to temporarily set up X, and we're going to set X equal to item, okay, and then we could say if that's true, then we can just continue out of the loop, okay. So just say continue out of this for each loop now. So out of this for each loop, and then what we're going to do is after each one of these for each loops, we're going to do products. Okay, we're going to add to this products array. So products equal, and we'll do an array merge. So just hang with me here. And we're going to merge X with P. Alright? So what the crap is going on here? This is, we're pretty much done with the PHP for this. So let's just kind of dig into this because it's a little confusing. Alright, so we have these products in a table. Now these products, I need to create one array that has everything blended together. So what I'm doing is I'm going to loop through each one of those products, and then I'm going to loop through the items, and if they're equal, I'm adding them to the items to this X. So basically, essentially, we're going to loop through, and we're going to add every item to our products. So I think it'd be a lot easier. Let me just show you. Let's do a var dump on products now. Okay. So if we don't have any syntax errors, we do. 19. Let's get rid of that. Okay. And then what other syntax error did I have? 27. Yeah, this was supposed to be lowercase. There we go. So now we have this array, and so if you look at each array, they each have 7 elements in them. They have an ID, a size, quantity, title, then they have the child ID, the child, and the parent. So all of that comes from those 2 arrays mixed together. It's the items array, and then it's the product array that we grabbed. Okay, so we needed all of that. So that's the reason we did all that mumbo jumbo with the, looping through each one. So just take some time and read through that and kind of imagine yourself going through this loop and then going through each one of these and going through the loop again and building up this products array here. All right. Once we have that products array, let's go ahead and do our markup now for the page. And we're just going to say, we'll give it an H2. Let's go ahead and use emit H2 with a class of text center. All right, which is a great plugin, man. If you guys can spend 1 minute a day learning one new shortcut, it really saves a lot of time. So check that out. So I'll do table. We'll give it a class of table. Give it another class table condensed. Give it another class of table bordered, table striped. Inside of that we'll do our head, and inside of that we'll do TH, and we'll do 4 of those. Okay, so let's tab. Alright, so now let's do, and I could have done this all in one line with Emmet, but I don't want to get too crazy since you guys may or may not have used it before. So inside of our body now, we'll do just a TR, and inside of that we'll do 4 TDs. Okay, so now what we got to do is we're going to do what we normally do with the PHP, and we'll say for each. Okay, so we'll just set this up really quickly, and I'm going to indent all of this. So close the for each, so end for each. Alright, so for each what? For each products as product. Okay, so for each product as product. Well, first we're gonna, let's go ahead and fill. Let's fill all these out really quick. So we're gonna do quantity. Okay, and then title, category, and size. Okay, so then we can print these out now because we have the, so just echo product, quantity. Okay, and then we'll have product, title, alright, and then we'll echo product, parent, and then we're going to concatenate onto that space tilde space, and we'll concatenate onto that product child. Alright, so the last one is the size, so product size. And I screwed up my stuff here with the, there we go. So yeah, let's take a look at that really quick and see what we have. Alright, let me get rid of that var dump so it looks a little prettier. So, where are you at? There you are, var dump. Alright, so we got these orders here. Cool. So, the next thing that I want to do is we're going to put some details about our orders. We're going to do we need our shipping address and we need the order details. So let's get going on that. That won't be difficult, but after this table here, we're going to do a div, the class of row. Okay, and inside of that we're going to do div with a class of, actually we're going to do 2 divs, and we're going to give them both the class of call medium 6. Oops, I guess I made that mad. Let me try this. There we go. Alright, so inside the first one, what we're going to do is an H3 with a text center. Whoa. Okay, and we'll just call this order details. Alright, so let's jump in and out and do our table. So we'll do a table again with a class of table, condensed, table striped, table bordered. Alright, and inside of that we're not going to do a head, we're just going to do body. So I don't think that's semantically correct, but it'll be okay. And then we're going to say tr, and then we'll do actually, let's go ahead and use emmet for this, because this is what we're going to do is we need tr, okay, times, let's see, 1, 2, 3, let's see, how do I want to do this? 1, 2, 3, 4, and inside of that we'll do 2 table datas. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is subtotal. Okay, and for subtotal we can just echo out, we have our money function, so we'll say money, and then we have txn txn subtotal available to us. Alright, the next thing that we're going to do is our tax. Okay, so then we can also use the money function on that. And again, just txn tax. Alright, then we have grand total. And let's do use our money function, and do txn grand total. Alright, and then we're going to do order date, and for this we're going to use we'll echo out and we'll use our pretty date function, and that will be txn date. Okay, so let's take a look at that now. Alright, perfect. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is my address. So in this next div here, we're just going to do an h3 with text center, and we're going to say shipping address. Okay, and then we're going to do an address block, and then we'll do txn full name, and then we'll do a break tag there, and then I'm just going to copy this. We'll do this 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, we'll put that in there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. We're going to change some of them. We're going to change all of them except for the first one. But so the next thing that we need is our street. So that's street address. And the next thing we need, we need to do a check to see if there is a street too. So what we'll do is we'll run a ternary operator, and we'll say so if txn street 2 does not equal a blank string, then we're going to print this out, and if it does equal a blank string, we're going to echo that out. But we need to get rid of this break because we don't want to have an extra break there, and what we'll do is concatenate on that break right here. There we go. So the next thing that we want to do is city. Okay, and then we're going to concatenate on a comma and a space, and then we'll concatenate on txn state. We're going to concatenate on a space, and then we'll concatenate on zip code. Right? So then the last thing we'll do here is country. Okay, so now if I take a look at that, there we go, we have our shipping address. Looks like I made a mistake here. This actually needs to be street 2. There we go. Alright, so we have all the information, but we need a couple buttons now. So down here after our div, I'm just going to do one more div, and I'm going to give this a class of pull right. Okay, and what we're going to do is we'll just do anchor, and we'll just say index.php, and we'll give this a class equal to button large, button primary, button default. Okay, and we're just going to put cancel. Okay, the next one that we're going to do, we'll do a class of button primary, button large, and we'll send that to orders.php, which is the same deal, and we're going to say complete equals 1, and cart ID equals, and then we're going to echo out our cart ID. Alright, and then we're going to say complete order, and refresh the page, and got something wrong here. Yeah, spelled button, it's BT in there. There we go. So complete order will send us back to the same page. So we need to now, the last thing that we need to do is actually complete the order. So at the top of our PHP file, what we're going to do is right up here below our includes, we're just going to do, I'm going to put a comment here to say complete order. And what we're going to do is an if statement. So we'll say if is set $_get complete. Okay. If that is set, and so if is set, and then and $_get complete is equal to 1. Then we're going to do something. We're actually going to complete this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say cart ID is equal to sanitize, and we'll go ahead and cast this to an integer because we need an integer there. So sanitize get cart ID. Okay, once we have that, we just need to do our database query. And that is update cart set shipped equal to 1, where ID is equal to cart ID. Okay, And then what we're going to do is we're going to set a message. So remember our session success flash that we made up, and just say equal to the order has been completed. Don't know why I did that in all caps, but okay. And then we just need to redirect. So header, we're going to send that to location index.php. Alright, so let's test this out. Let's go back here. So now if I just go to one of these and hit complete, alright, completes it. It's not on the list anymore. I can go now and view these. So this one has 6. I cancel it if I don't want to send it yet. And I can just go and view the details of my orders that need to be shipped. So this is the first little section on our display here, and you can see that inside of the cart now we have that shipped, and when I go ahead and complete those, it sets those to 1. So now they're paid for and they're shipped. So anyways, I know I moved a little quick, but you'll be able to see this code more. You'll see the index more. We're going to add to this in the next video. We're going to go ahead and do the inventory system, and then after the inventory system, we'll do the sales by month, and then we'll do some bug squashing, and then we'll call it a wrap. Alright, well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this so far. If you have, comment, like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs it. Alright, have a good